good evening, and welcome to Tea Time.
Hey everybody, welcome to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight. It is Monday, June 26th. I'm going to talk about my weekend real quick and get to my guest. Friday, I really didn't do much. I just really stayed home, chilled out, relaxed. Saturday, I had a graduation party in Farmingdale, so congratulations, Madison. You go, girl. And Sunday, Sunday night, I went to a movie preview of a movie called Return to Danger with Mario Polite, Joseph D'Onofrio, Peter Green, and written by Gary Goodell. So we have a couple of pics that we could put up. That's me and Gary. There we are. It was amazing, amazing movie. And then the next pick is Mario Polite. Mario was on my show before, like 5 years ago, and he's gonna come on. So I can't wait for him. And Joseph D'Onofrio, of course, who is in A Bronx Tale, and he was fabulous in this movie. Thank you very much. All right, so let me get to my guests, because you know my show goes very, very fast. He's an actor. He's a comedian. He's also written and produced a couple of things, too. Bob Greenberg is here. Hi, Bob.
Hi. I know a lot of your audience thinks they're looking at me saying, is that Chris Christie? I'm not running for president. I'm Bob Greenberg. So don't be scared. Don't turn off.
Bob, I want everyone to get to know you. So why don't you tell everyone, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Brooklyn, originally Brownsville, Brooklyn. Then we moved to Kings Highway and 54th Street and went to school in the city. As we say, the city.
Yes, you went to
art and design
School
originally.
Of Visual Arts, right?
Yeah, and then School of Visual Arts.
Yeah. Studied film.
Yes. I have a BFA in film. Which today, I mean, what I learned, they don't do any. They do everything on the phone now. I mean, I learned A and B rolling and all kinds of weird stuff and roll sound, roll camera. They don't do any of that. They just got a phone and they shoot a movie nowadays.
Yeah,
you know?
It's very, very different.
When I'm on a set. And now they just let everything roll. I'm so used to the director saying, roll sound. Sound guy says, sound rolling. Roll camera. Camera guy says, camera rolling with speed.
Right. Yeah.
And then the director says, action. Now it's like this. You get on the set and they go, you can start whenever you want to. Things are just rolling. You know, you don't know what's going on.
You don't.
And you can end.
You don't.
You can end whatever you want to. End whatever you want to.
I was on a set waiting for action and I never heard it. It was crazy.
They don't do it. Everyone's just so laid back and they don't worry about the lighting. And
yeah.
It used to be f-stops and things like that. They just, they turn things on and they work.
Yeah. All right. So the question is, you've been doing this a very long time.
I guess so.
In the entertainment industry. What started your career? Was it comedy or acting?
And Hardy and
Love
all those
them.
people, yes.
Yeah.
And I just got into that, and then I made a film, and I got a full tuition scholarship to the School of Visual Arts, and studied film there. And then I got hit by a car on Kings Highway and 54th Street between Avenue D and Foster. Be careful if you're crossing Kings Highway, because, so I broke my leg and all this stuff, and I could have stayed out a whole year and then went back to college, but instead I went to school, but now I'm on crutches. I couldn't do much. Now, in those days, like I said, when you made a movie, you had to hang lights, you had to carry the equipment. It was heavy. You had to do a lot of physical stuff. I couldn't do it. So I wound up acting. A lot of the scenes are very simple
Mm-hmm.
in room 404 at the School of Visual Arts. We would basically sit behind a desk and we would do a scene. And the more I was doing the acting and was going over big and everything, I kind of drifted into that direction. When I graduated from School of Visual Arts, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I drifted into the videotaping business. You know, there was a business because before phones and everything.
That was big back then.
I used to hold lights, camera for bar mitzvahs, weddings. I shot a bris once, you know.
Oh, Maron.
I never did a wake, but anyway, yeah, no shiva calls. I didn't do it. No, but I did a lot of weddings. You know, there's music in my head like I'm so excited. It's raining men. It's still ringing in my ears, you know.
Right.
And I did all that stuff, and then I became a videotape. Was a master tape librarian at Video Dub. Now nobody dubs anything anymore.
Wow.
But like a commercial you see on TV in those days, it would arrive on a big reel, a big metallic reel. All this magnetic tape, you know, thick videotape, a 2-inch tape, and you'd roll it and you'd listen to it. You know, and when it stopped, you'd cut it, and that would be a spot that you put in a little box. You roll it up and you ship it out to Poughkeepsie or whatever, or to ABC. And then you go. So I used to do that. I was in shipping and receiving. And then I wound up being a master tape librarian where I lost a lot of shows. So I didn't last too long. But at that time, there was a group called First Amendment.
Okay.
They were improv group. In New York, you had First Amendment and Chicago City Limits in those days. And the girls were prettier at First Amendment. I don't know. For some reason, I went to First Amendment, and I studied there. And Jane Brucker, who you may have seen her in Dirty Dancing, she's the sister, you know, right?
Yes.
She taught improv. She was my teacher, and she also hosted an improv jam on Sunday nights at Folk City, which is, I think it's called the Black Cat now, but it's still there, Folk City, a famous place. So I just started performing without not much training. And then from doing improv, I wound up doing improv uptown at the West End Gate with John Leguizamo and a lot of good people that you would recognize their names. And in between the sets, I would get up and I would do a joke or two. I had a Hands Across America joke about arriving late. I don't know if you remember Hands Across America, but everybody held hands all across America. And I thought to myself, you know, I said, well, you know, I kind of wake up late every day. So what if I got there late with somebody in, you know, Texas, have to take a step to the left, you know, whatever to accommodate me. So I would tell jokes in between the sets. And then someone said, why don't you do some stand-up? And there you go. I can tell you where I broke my stand-up cherry.
Where was the first place you did that?
Montclair, New Jersey.
Okay.
It was called Something Different. It was a bakery that had people, you know, that everyone came. You could have coffee and Danish, and they had lots of tables. And I guess Montclair University used to come there. You know, it was a place where there was no liquor, so all the kids were there.
Right.
And they had this Mickey Loesch, who's still around. I saw him on Facebook.
Wow.
You find everybody on Facebook. Maybe he's on MySpace too. I don't know. But anyway, he's maybe on my pager. I have no idea. But anyway, he's on Facebook. Anyway, he hosted the show, and there were, and that was where I broke my stand-up cherry.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did a place in Red Bank, New Jersey for a weekend.
A coffee?
The Laughing Bean.
I did the Laughing Bean.
You did?
I did the Laughing Bean.
So funny.
What
a great place, though.
With Uncle Dirty. I don't know if you remember Uncle Dirty. He had another name, but his persona was Uncle Dirty.
Right.
And who booked me? The woman who used to book, she's still around, but I can't remember her name. Linda. Linda's the first name. Very nice woman. I can't remember her last name.
Yeah.
But Linda, she used to book Dangerfields.
Right.
She booked me because they wanted all clean comics. They do clean comedy, you know.
Yeah.
Recently, we've worked together, and I wasn't particularly clean, but normally I have a clean act.
Yes, normally you are clean.
So she booked me, and I was the featured act. Uncle Dirty was the headliner. Uncle Dirty couldn't have been nicer. The guy who was the opening act, he did all dick jokes. I can say dick jokes. He did all these dick jokes. You know, I was a completely different act than he was. And I just remember we did 2 shows, but I had to catch that train in Red Bank, the midnight, because if you didn't get the midnight train,
forget about it. You're there the next day. Yeah.
So at the last show, I had to flip things. I had to wind up being the opening act.
Okay.
And this guy who, I don't know who he is, but he was not as nice as Uncle Dirty. He kind of flipped out because he felt he couldn't follow me because I did impressions.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Yeah.
Because usually if you want to do stand-up, if you do, and Judy Gold told me this when she first saw me starting out at the comic strip, says with impressions, you'll never be an opening act. You'll always be either a feature or a headliner.
Right.
Because you kind of can't follow, you know, opening act, you want some guy who talks to people and whatever.
Right.
Warms them up.
Yeah.
So you're never quite an opening act. And at that time, I just did impressions. I may have done a few jokes, but now if I do open, I kind of open for myself. I talk to the audience for 5 or 6 minutes, and then I don't do my impressions all the way through. But at that time, I was starting out. That was what I had, you know.
Well, you also appeared at many different places: the Triad, the Friars Club, the Metropolitan Room,
Guilty as charged,
Gotham Comedy Club, Stand Up New York, which is where I popped my cherry.
Oh, you popped your cherry there?
Yes, back in 1991.
You know, I saw something on the carpet. Oh, all right.
Let's not go there. And Broadway Comedy Club, which is also another great place to perform. So when you do your stand-up, do you tell? I mean, I know what you do, but I want everyone else to know. But do you tap into your own experiences?
Yes.
And
the opening of my act, of course, I have a whole chunk about me and Chris Christie, of course, because I look like him.
Right.
And but then I talk about my childhood a bit, and I do go into. I do a lot of personal stuff.
Right.
And which is, you know, because if you do topical, I mean, I used to do some eventually the topical stuff disappears.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean, God bless Jimmy Fallon and all those guys. Well, now they're on break because there's no Writers Guild, you know. There's, they're on strike. Hope that, gets settled. But it's very hard to keep changing up your act. So and also people tend to borrow material. If you make it your own from your life, you could always say, well, did you live my life? You know? So it's good to have that. And then, although I've done some impressions that got borrowed too, but that's another story. We won't go into that.
Yeah.
But I try to make those a little topical.
Right.
Like I've done Lou Costello at the John Gotti trial. I've done Lou Costello.
I've seen it. It's hysterical.
Meet O.J. Simpson.
Yeah,
I've done all that. So I've done Oliver Hardy on the Sex Hotline. And, you know,
are some of your videos on YouTube where people can see them? Yes,
you can find me, Bob Greenberg, at the Gotham. You can see me, and also at the Metropolitan Room. So you can see
look it up because it's hysterical. I watched the video that you sent me before the show, and I'm like dying laughing. I mean, I think it's so impressive when someone can do impersonations. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
No, and I do people that I love, and I think so they become kind of an extension of myself. When you see me, you know, I love Lou Costello. I love, even when I do Alfred Hitchcock or Jackie Gleason.
Right.
I love those guys. And those are, I don't just do, you know, Christopher Walken. Or,
do you feel
random.
Sometimes you're an old soul and you were born in the wrong era? Because I
definitely,
feel that way too.
Definitely. Well, when I was starting out, you know, the young people that went to the comedy clubs could recall watching Abbott and Costello and Three Stooges. Right. Now it's only the old Takakis who are watching. They're watching. The kids aren't watching Me TV, which shows the Three Stooges and the Honeymooners, or Channel 11, which still shows Laurel and Hardy, Marshall and Soldiers. What's the one on Movies Channel? Shows Laurel and Hardy, TCM. It's really for an older crowd. So as of late, when I do stand-up, like I'm doing the Borscht Belt Museum, there's a museum in Ellenville celebrating the Borscht Belt, and I'm doing the first show with Uncle Floyd.
Oh, nice.
And that's a family-friendly show, 1 p.m.
Nice.
And that's July 29th in Ellenville. And you can Google Borscht Belt Museum. I'm sure it'll come up. There's a lot of events happening, but they're trying to open up. They're trying to have this museum for the history of the Borscht Belt, where all the great comedians came from the Borscht Belt. I mean, you know, maybe not recently, but all the great ones from the past. And so I don't think Chris Rock came from the, no, he came from the comic strip. I know that. So I kind of lean towards a middle-aged audience, or men and women of a certain age. But let me tell you something. I played New York Comedy Club once I mean, many times, but in this incident, I'm there, and it's a very young crowd. And I did my regular stand-up, and I do fat jokes because I'm fat, and I do Jew jokes because I'm Jew. Does that sound right? Yeah. Anyway, and,
you could say that,
right? And I just forgot the ish. What happened to the ish?
Right.
Anyway,
We left out
and I'm
the
in
ish.
Long Island, so and then I went into my act, and they knew Curly, the Three Stooges, and they knew Ralph Cramden, but the Laurel and Hardy and Abbott and Costello was a little. And there's one young lady, and she is laughing like you wouldn't believe.
Really?
Yeah, laughing, and she was hot. Really hot. I mean, you know, she had like, you know, well endowed like
pretty.
you, and yeah, she was pretty. She was very. She had
healthy lungs.
She had
healthy
arthritis
lungs.
in the hands. No, she was. Yeah, she was. So anyway, but a girl that everybody would be checking out. Let's put it that way. Okay. And she's in hysterics through the whole thing. And then I'm done, and she comes running up to me, and she's hugging me and kissing me, and all these other guys that are there, they're all like salivating. What's going on? And what it was, and this made me cry. But don't cry now. Her mother, I'm going to cry. She died of cancer, but she loved these old things.
Yeah.
So she used to watch videos with her mother.
Yeah.
So she knew all the people, and it brought it back to her.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah,
it's nice when when you someone takes the time. It's nice when someone takes the time to come up to you and tell you something like that, and you know you touched them. You know what I mean? You did your job.
I did my job.
And my job right now is to go to my first break. So
good.
stay right there.
Oh,
more with Bob Greenberg when we get back.
Oh!
Don't go away.
I'm sorry.
Well, hi there, Theresa. It's John York from General Hospital. I am just checking in because apparently you have a great talk show called Tea Time on Strong Island TV. I want you to have continued great success and have a lot of fun. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun, and that's pretty much the key to everything, isn't it? So continued success. I'm proud of you. Have a great day, Theresa. Bye.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so
Hi!
Bob Greenberg is here. He's an actor. He's a comedian. He also has written and produced. You've written and produced. Just to go back to comedy,
Hello, Mike. You okay?
You.
I just hit the mic. I was doing business here.
You like I mentioned, you were at the Friars Club, the Triad.
Yes.
How'd you get into the Friars Club? Tell me about that.
I was sponsored by Jeffrey Ross.
Because someone has to sponsor you.
Yes,
correct?
Jeffrey Ross and
Yes.
Dave Koenig, two great comics.
Wow. Yes.
And this is the weird part. Years ago, it was the first Toyota Comedy Festival. It was a regular festival.
Right.
There was an open mic situation to get on to do these shows, and they did it at the Carnegie Deli, and Alan King was one of the judges, and there was I can't recall his name, but somebody, a big honcho from SNL and all this stuff, and they loved my act, and I got booked to do these shows with a lot of good people. I think John DiResta was in the show.
Oh yeah, I worked with John.
Marla Schultz.
Oh wow.
And some really good people were on this show. Maybe Nancy Redmond, I'm not sure, but anyway, they picked us from this open mic situation. Open call kind of thing, audition. And I could have become, I was an honorary friar for a whole week. I got into these shows, and I was just so shy and nervous at that time. I went into the club, and I didn't go past, there's a bar, and then there's further down is a dining room, there's multiple floors. I couldn't get past the bar.
Right.
I don't know what it was. So I was very shy, and over the years, people say, Bob, you should join the Friars Club. You're into the old thing. And I didn't know what the problem was. I had to come out of my shell. And eventually, I think it was Dave Koenig who pushed me. And then I started hanging with Jeffrey Ross, and he said, I used to be a plant for Jeffrey Ross. You know,
Really?
I'd be in the audience, and he'd ask. It happened by accident once. He was at Caroline's. I was in the audience,
Okay.
and I knew him from doing stand-up. And
Right.
we did a movie together called Heartbreak Hospital. I think that was the title. Anyway,
Really? Okay.
I think that was the film he was also in with me. We didn't have any scenes together. I had a scene with Patricia Clarkson, I remember. So, and John Shea was in the movie. Anyway, so he says, you know, you should become a member. But anyway, at the Carolines, what happened was I was in the audience, and he left his drink at my table. And he says, Bob, did I leave my drink?
Right.
I said, yes. And I got up on stage with him, and we did this whole improv thing.
Cool.
So then he'd have me come back, and he'd make me his road manager, his personal trainer. You know, I have wash tub abs. You know, we had a whole shtickler, you know.
Right.
And I did that with him for a while.
Wow.
And he'd pay me $25 or something. It was kind of funny. But then it was harder and harder to do that. And it was, you know, although it was kind of rewarding, you know, there were people who thought I really was his manager and things like that. So I felt that was kind of like weird, you know. So because I wasn't really doing my act. It was just, you know, he'd make fun of me, you know, like he does everybody else.
Yeah.
So anyway, he kind of pushed me into getting into the club. And then of course, you know, I became friends with Freddie Roman. I became friends with Stewie Stone, Jerry Lewis. I used to hang out with Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
You know, it was wonderful. It really was. And I'm so glad Mickey Freeman, who played Zimmerman on Bilko, was a close friend. Erwin Corey, we hung out together.
We have some pics. Can we put up some pics?
You have some pics of me with
some famous people. Yes, with some very famous people.
There's Don Rickles.
Don,
real sweet guy.
I heard some really beautiful things about him.
I was introduced to him. I think Jeffrey Ross introduced me to him, and he said, "You're a comedian." He says, "That's great. Do you love doing it? If you love doing it, you'll always be a success." That's a nice thing.
Aww,
he didn't know me from Adam, but he was very sweet. That's
you.
That's me with Barney Miller, right? Hal Linden.
Yeah.
That's at the Lambs Club. I'm currently a lamb now. The Friars is kind of. Friars is no more, so I'm now a lamb, which is an older actors fraternity. Abe Vigoda,
that's
also a friar. You know, his whole shtick was he'd be at a roast and he'd be sitting there, and he looked like he was dead, and somebody would say, "This is going on too long. Look, Abe Vigoda died." You know,
oh my God.
And he would just sort of wake up. That was Robert Klein.
Robert,
I'm very friendly with him.
Yeah. He was just at the Argyle Theater, and I couldn't get there to see him, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's involved with the Borscht Belt Museum.
Yes.
And he booked me on Robert Klein time back in 87. I did a Three Stooges act at that time.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, there, I'm working it up. So we've been friends. Oh, yes, Brenda Vaccaro. She was at the Lambs. There we go.
You know, I sound like her when I first wake up in the morning.
Yes, we all do. I asked her, who do you sound like in the morning? And she was like, she didn't get it. She's like,
that's great.
I sound like myself. Okay. Oh, Larry Storch.
Larry. He passed away last year.
Yeah. He was like, I forget, he was 96.
He was from F Troop.
Oh, no, he was 99, right? I think
he was.
He was almost 100.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't. It's so funny. He said he didn't want to live to 100. He was almost 100.
Really?
And he passed. Yeah.
Oh.
But I knew him very well. Very well.
Is that
Sweet
it? Is
guy.
there one?
There's me with Larry.
One.
Larry was such a great guy. And, you know, he started out as an impressionist. In fact, you know.
I didn't know that about him.
Yes, the cliche impression of doing Cary Grant is we go, Judy. I don't even do it.
Thank you.
So, whatchamacallit, he was doing impressions. He was I also was friendly with Will Jordan. Now, Will Jordan created Ed Sullivan. There was Ed Sullivan.
Wow.
He had a show. Yeah, he was Ed Sullivan.
Yeah.
But Will Jordan did the first kind of impression of Ed Sullivan.
Really?
And I'm going to backtrack just a little bit, or sidebar a little bit. Will was doing his impression of Ed Sullivan somewhere, and it wasn't getting laughs. So he started to milk it with a really big shoe and like spinning around and all that, and doing those gestures, which Ed eventually adopted.
Really?
Yeah. So
they weren't originally Ed's.
No, they
Interesting.
Ed Sullivan was a journalist, and of course, for you young people, he hosted an incredible Sunday night show. The Beatles,
Elvis,
everybody.
He had everyone on.
That was the show to do.
Yes.
And he was not a performer. He wasn't a personality. The Three Stooges, I know they made this incredible comeback thanks to television in the late 50s. It was a big deal. They were going to appear on the Ed Sullivan show, right?
Right.
And he introduces them as the Ritz Brothers, which was an old-time act as well. But and they went on and they did their act, and afterwards he said, "Oh, it's funny, the Ritz Brothers, they look more like the Three Stooges." He had some sort of cover, which I'm sure somebody gave. But he was constantly doing stuff like that. He was just a stiff. He was a guy. He was a real guy. He was stiff, and he was not a personality. Anyway, Will, to make the impression funny, did this spinning around thing and really big shoe, and that became Ed Sullivan and he started to do that from Will, and he had Will on. They would both do it together.
That's fascinating.
And we go back to Larry Storch.
Yeah,
Will told me that Larry Storch was the impressionist that all the impressionists watch. He did all these fantastic impressions, and his most famous one, oddly enough, is Cary Grant. Why? Every impression does Judy. And I saw Peter Bogdanovich, the famous director, and somebody else, maybe it was Ben Mankiewicz on TCM, say, where did the Judy come from? And they're debating it. Well, there's a film called Only Angels Have Wings, where Jean Arthur plays Judith. Maybe it's from that way. They're going back and forth. How it happened, the impression Judy came from Larry Storch's performing. I forget which club, but it was a famous club in the city. And Judy Garland was going to her table during his act. And just as he was doing Cary Grant, maybe I'm surprised because she was a nice person. She may have had a few, drinks or drugs or whatever. She walked in front of him as opposed to behind. Maybe she couldn't get behind.
Right.
And so he's into his Cary Grant. He sees it. He starts to go, Judy. Well, Earl Wilson, do you know that name? He was a columnist, Earl's Pearls, in the Post. He made a big to-do about the Judy because it was just so funny. Yeah. And then from then on, when people did Cary Grant, they would do Judy. So I got that from the horse's mouth as to where that. It's funny because as an impressionist.
These are great inside stories.
Well, I'll tell you, impressionists, like if you watch SNL and stuff like that, they try to follow other impressionists. Right. It's just easier to do it. Yeah. And you've got to tweak it, you've seen SNL when they do it. If you do it exactly, the voice, it's interesting, but it's not funny. And Will Jordan had that problem too. Yeah. So you've got to find something like a tick or something that they do that may be a very minor thing in their litany of actions, but it's something that people can recognize, and then you overdo it. Correct. Like a cartoon. So anyway, that's my inside scoop on Judy.
Yes. I appreciate that inside scoop, and I hope you appreciate. I have to take my next break.
A break.
So stay right there. More with Bob when we come back. Don't go away.
Wonder Woman was everything to little girls, especially that look like me. She stands for being a voice for people that need a voice. My organization renovates homes for people with disabilities. And when I come home, a self-care routine makes me feel my best. I'm very proud of the difference that we're making, and to see that impact in my community inspires me to work even harder for everyone around me.
How you doing? It's Sal the Voice Valentinetti. Why are you watching me? You should be watching Theresa Canastraci Tea Time with Theresa Canastraci Farrell. And make sure you follow Theresa on Facebook. Tea Time with Theresa Canastraci Farrell. We'll see you there.
I love the way you say my name. I love
Canastraci.
Canastracci.
I got a Canastracci. I gotta go to the doctor.
Bob Greenberg is with me. He's an actor. He's a comedian. He's been around a long time. He's done a lot of work. I want to talk a little bit about about your acting, if we can.
Yes, sure.
2015, you were in a short called Vagina Time. Whoa, back then. But I'm just going to run through some things.
All right, tell me. All right.
2016, you did Vinyl, which was a great,
a TV show. I worked with, I worked 2 days. But
great series,
Bobby Cannavale, yes.
Love him. And then you did something called The Characters, which was a TV
The Characters,
series.
you can see that. It's on Netflix. It stars, the episode I'm in is with Tim Robinson.
Oh, nice.
And Tim Robinson has a show, which I can't remember the title of it. Let me tell you something. Anyone under 30 recognize me from The Characters with Tim Robinson.
That's so cool.
Because he's hot with them. And the older people, they know me from Tango Shalom, which is a movie you'll probably get to eventually. So I won't jump you up. But anyway, you can see The Characters, episode 7, Tim Robinson, on Netflix.
And you were in The Comedian with De Niro.
Yes.
You had a little
you see me,
thing.
Yeah, I mean, they had
that was
friars.
Like a Friars Club.
Yes, they hired friars who were SAG-AFTRA actors.
That was cool.
And I got to, John Marola and I are in the beginning, are in a scene together in that, as a matter of fact. And De Niro was very sweet.
Yeah.
It's very funny, though, when you watch the film. There's a scene with Billy Crystal and De Niro in the elevator.
Yes.
And when De Niro comes out of the elevator, Billy Crystal says, "Schmuck." And then it cuts to me.
Right.
I can swear to God, he doesn't mean me, but I always hear schmuck. Oh, there I am.
That is so funny.
Yes,
oh my God. Yes. All right. So then in 2017, you did Chivalry, which was a short.
Chivalry, yes. Very good short.
And then you also did A Very Merry Toy Store, which was a Lifetime movie.
Yes, still on.
Let me watch that clip. That was great.
Yeah, that's on Lifetime. Melissa Joan Hart.
Yes.
I played Mike the banker.
Very nice scene.
I'm a nice banker.
He's a nice banker.
I'm a nice banker. And
you say yes, and she's in shock.
Yeah, she has, Melissa Joan Hart has these Christmas movies.
Yes, a lot of them.
Now, when it first aired, it was on like every other hour.
Yes.
Now it's on, it's just part of the rotation. If you turn on Lifetime during the Christmas season, it will pop up. A really good cast, by the way. Mario Cantone was in that. Billy Gardell. Brian Dennehy. I think it may have been his last movie.
Sweet man.
I had the Dennehy room. They said, when you're an actor, they give you a room, a suite if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So they made sure I had the Dennehy room. He was done. Nice. He was wrapped, but I don't know. It's the Fat Man room, I guess. I don't know what it was.
You did Mila Jam, which was Bruised, which was a short. You did Fluidity.
Yes.
You did Celebrities Go Home.
I did that. I did do that. Yes.
TV series. You did Marshmallow. Am I saying it right?
Marshmallow Parkway.
Marshmallow Parkway, which was a short.
That's an Italian area.
But I was Jewish in my last life.
In the Bronx. Yes, it's a short that's Jamie Lee Curtis and Christopher Guest produced it, and it's a wonderful short. And you know who plays my wife? Caroline Ahrens from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. She's Mrs. Maisel. She's the mother, Kevin Pollak's wife. Yes.
All right, 2020, you did the Honey Zoomers.
No, yes, I did the Honey Zoomers. Yes.
Now we have a pic of you as Ralph Cramden. You've got the bus picture.
Yeah, I played.
But I'm just putting that up because you look fantastic in that picture.
I played. Well, this is me with the official Jackie Gleason bus.
Oh,
if you've seen stills of Gleason posing with the bus, it's technically that bus, except
cool
I will give you a little dish, a little tea. The original bus fell apart. It doesn't run.
Well, it was old.
Yeah. So they took the sister or brother bus, and they took the numbers off that bus. And so that became, this is a little dish here. You're only going to hear it here on Tea Time.
Exclusive, people.
We're spilling the tea. But it's as good as you're going to get. You know what I mean?
Where was that picture taken?
King's
was it in Brooklyn?
Yes, the college. King's
Kingsborough.
Kingsborough. Oh God, how could I forget?
That's okay.
It was a great payday.
Yes.
Kingsborough and college,
Right.
and it was a Brooklyn Day or a homecoming thing.
Right.
And I had just done Jackie Gleason on The Next Best Thing.
Uh-huh.
Ryan the Booker booked me from
Right.
that of all things, and yeah, it was great. I got to work with the bus. I could not drive that. That bus is unsafe. Those buses were not safe, and I couldn't even turn the wheel. But they had a guy who drove. But I was basically doing shtick around the bus. But I do a show. Long Island would know this. I did a show, I should say. But we're bringing it back. I just did one in Staten Island. The Honey Moaners, produced by New York Dinner Theater, and I did that in Long Island and Jersey a little bit. Mostly, I did every catering hall in Long Island, in Hauppauge, the Tivoli Terrace, the Huntington Townhouse. You name a catering hall.
Nice.
Relatively 15 or 20 years ago. Every weekend I worked Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon.
You were busy man.
But the catering halls
and then
gone.
You had mentioned Tango Shalom. That was in 2021, and then we're into 2022 now.
Yes.
You did Crash the System, which was a TV miniseries.
Yes, that was on Tubi, and I think it's on Netflix now. Yes. I'm in that.
And you did The Brothers Clifton, which is also a short.
Yes, it's on.
And Sleepyhead.
Sleepyhead,
which Lilo Brancato was in that, I think, from.
Yes.
From
I'm right. I'm in Sleepyhead. I play. What is my character's name? Is it? I can't remember. But anyway, I have a nice part in that. Yes.
That's good. And I don't know, but if we have the two picks, there you are on SNL.
Yes, I was.
Tell me how that happens with Jim Carrey.
Okay, this is how it all worked out.
And there's a second pick too.
Me and
of
Jim.
You coming out.
Yes. So what happened
Love it. That is my dream, to be on SNL.
All right. So I had been booked. I'm in a lot of digital shorts. You know the shorts they have on that.
Yes.
I guess it would have been we shot. Me and Jim did that January. Me and Jim.
It was
January 8th, 2011.
Correct.
So prior to that, I was booked I was on shorts and background work on SNL.
Yes.
And they had a bit that they wanted me to do.
Okay.
Where the whole shtick is that it's 2011. By the Mayan calendar, 2012 is the end of the world.
Right.
So Jim Carrey's now going to say what he wants, do it. And so he says, like, for instance, right now I'm looking at a pair of beautiful breasts, and they cut to me in a T-shirt. Right. And I go, thank you, Jim. And we have a little thing.
Right.
That was supposed to be it.
Okay.
That was it. And it was written by Colin Jost and John Mulaney.
Okay.
So at the end of the monologue, now, ladies and gentlemen, at 8 o'clock, SNL does a dress rehearsal show. It's a 2-hour show.
Okay.
Full audience.
Right.
I assume they tape it.
Yes.
And then at 8 to 10, and between 10 and 11, they determine what makes the 90-minute show that you see live at 11:30. So you don't know when you do the 8 o'clock show if you're going to make it to 11:30.
Okay.
So I didn't know till 11 o'clock.
They might cut a bit.
They might cut a bit. Yeah,
right.
They cut or rearrange the order, whatever. So we do the show, and at the end of the monologue for the dress rehearsal, Jim proposes to a real audience member. I was a plant. I was getting paid.
Right.
I was rehearsed with Jim. Get me, Jim. Anyway, and he was very nice, by the way. And so anyway, he finds an audience member and proposes marriage, and she's perfect. She's like Goldie Hawn from Laughing Days. She's giggling, she's great.
Yeah.
He picks her up. He says to the audience, we're going to go back and fornicate or whatever he says. And, she's great.
Right.
We do the live show. So we do the thank you, Jim, and all that stuff. We do that bit, gets a big laugh.
Right.
And that's supposed to be the end of me.
Okay.
He goes into the audience, finds this woman.
Yeah.
Her name is Mindy, because he asks her name.
Okay.
And he says, will you marry me, Mindy? And she just shakes her head. Says, will you marry me? And she shows her. I don't know if they had talked to her before, or it was cold.
Bit?
Well, I think she was surprised. I think she didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't explain what happened, but she's showing her wedding ring. Oh, so you're already married, Wendy? Or maybe she froze. Who knows?
All right.
And he's trying to get her wedding ring off. So I'm sitting there, and I'm a plant. And I see this is bad because I see Jim's eyes are going like this.
And so you never say no in improv.
Right. So
ever.
I'm waving to him that I'm here. I'm here.
Right.
And he says, okay, forget it, Wendy. Forget it, Mindy. Okay, dude, come here. And he grabs me,
Really?
he brings me up on stage. What's your name? I go, I'm Bob.
Awesome.
He says, Bob, will you marry me? Of course. And so there's me, Bob, and that time you couldn't marry men because my new life partner or whatever.
Right.
And we hug and everything. And I actually said to him, should I pick you up? Because he picked up the girl and that thing. No, we're just gonna hug. We're like talking through the whole scene.
Funny.
And so he hugs me and we're waving and everything. And it goes over tremendous, better than the original ending. And people thought it was scripted too.
Right.
And he turns to me and he says to me, Bob, you saved my ass. He said, thank you so much.
Really?
And he has his hand, and all of a sudden his hand is pulled. They're pulling him off me and they're tearing, well, it's a breakaway. They're tearing off his clothes because he has to change his outfit for the next thing.
Yeah.
And I'll always, I can't remember his name, but the assistant director, no, he was I forget the term, but the guy on the stage who's the first director, no, second director. What's the term? I can't remember. Anyway, the guy who's running the shots on the stage, he says, ladies and gentlemen,
the AD,
first AD.
The AD.
Right.
Okay.
Because the other guy's in a booth, right? Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Bob Greenberg. And everybody applauds.
That's great.
And I get off and I take a bow off the stage.
Nice.
And I'm walking and people are high-five. And the crew guys who know what they're
like great recovery.
And everyone was just thank you. It was a great moment for me. And
that's awesome.
I've spoiled a bit, of course, if you catch it, but that's the story.
You also won Best Actor Award for the Stella in New York Theater Festival and the Winterfest 2021.
Yes, I won for the Stellar, and then a year later I won for the Jimmy Breslin show. I did How to Read. I won 2 years in a row. I was really surprised.
That's
did not. I wasn't at because of COVID and stuff, and there was some confusion. I wasn't at the first award ceremony,
right.
Because they sent the wrong email to the wrong whatever. But I did win the award. That was for the Stellar.
Right.
A year later, I'm doing this other play, Jimmy Breslin, How to Read the Newspaper Before It Goes Extinct. It's a play written by Greg Greenberg. Okay. And I'm nominated. I'm, COVID's a little better. I'm there, and I do my monologue from the show. But I'm thinking, I'm not going to win 2 years in a row.
Nice.
Hot damn. I won 2 years in a row.
Good for you. Yes. Congratulations. Yes. All right. So you recently also toured as Morty in the Old Jews Telling Jokes.
Yes, I did that for about 5 years. Yeah. And the funny thing is, that play, Old Jews Telling Jokes, was playing right across the street. I live in Manhattan Plaza, 43rd, either 9th or 10th. There's two buildings. It was playing right across the street for one whole year, but I couldn't cross the street. I had to go to Port Authority and go to Philadelphia to do the show.
Really?
I had auditioned for the show in New York, but I was too young to play the old Jew, all the old Jews.
You couldn't, use a little gray in the hair? Come on.
Well, and I was too old to play the young. There's like a young guy, a younger guy, a younger girl, and three older people.
Okay.
And I was too young to be old, and I was too old to be young. But when I went on tour, they weren't as picky.
Okay.
And so I wound up playing the youngest of the three old people.
Okay.
And now I'm probably closer to where I should be to do it. But anyway, on tour, nobody cared. So
we have another pic that wasn't put up. Maybe we could put it up. Actually, I think it was you. You do the Laurel and Hardy bit, and there's a pic of you.
Me and my friend Jonathan Smith, or is it the one with Soupy Sales? I see Soupy Sales there. Well, that's Pat Cooper.
That's Pat Cooper.
Oh, he's a great. We
just recently lost him too.
Yeah, I think I see it over there. It's the next one below.
There it is.
All right, and I'm pretty.
There's Soupy Sales.
Look,
you look so good.
I'm a little young. I'm a little. I'm a little young there.
That.
But that's
a
Soupy
great
Sales.
Pick.
Yeah, that's one of the first times I did Hardy with Jonathan Smith.
Yeah.
But we do that a lot, and it's my financial pleasure because we make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Not enough, maybe.
All right. Well,
we make enough money doing corporate events. A lot of birthday parties. Now, the funny thing is, even with Gleason, and I do private parties as well.
Right.
Gleason.
He is for hire.
Yes, I am for hire. I used to do 40th birthday parties, 50th.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing like 80th birthday parties and 60, but like Laurel and Hardy, I've done some 80.
Oh my God,
I did
funny.
a Jackie Gleason in Bayside. Actually, it was a tiny restaurant not too far from where we were. It was opposite that Unicorn Diner or that something. There's a diner on.
There's a ton of diners in Queens.
I think it was called anyway. Whatever. Right across the street is an Italian restaurant.
Wow.
Very nice Italian restaurant. And I did a private party. Guy was 80. So now that's where my audience is skewing now. I went from 40 years old, 50, 60, and now 80. So.
All right, listen, we're going to take my last break.
Certainly.
All right, don't go away. More with Bob when we come back.
Doc, who's the best comedian you know?
Theresa Farrow.
And who's the best actress you know?
Theresa Farrow.
And who's the best cast member in Bat Boys?
Teresa Farrow.
Who's got the best radio?
Teresa Farrow.
Doc, who's your favorite Guinea?
Teresa Farrow.
Who are you loving right now?
Teresa Farrow.
All right, Doc, I love you too, baby.
Love you as always.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome back to Tea Time, everybody. I want to give some shout outs to Greg and Michael and Bruno and Joe DeBarry. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please like the show. Please share it. Tea Time is live every Monday night on YouTube and Facebook. Then it goes to Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch TV. You can listen to it where every podcast can be heard and seen every Saturday at 11 a.m. on Channel 20. We're going to be on TV Saturday.
You got to see us.
Yeah. So listen,
so
how did Bob and I meet? That's a great question. We actually met on the set of Murdered by the Mob.
Yes.
Now, your wife in real life.
Yeah, Teresa Della Val plays Donna Rosella.
Correct.
She's been playing it for 3,000 years. Or
Forever.
whatever.
And I was brought on as an understudy as Donna Rosella. So we're going to bring up that picture of me with the gray wig on.
Let's see.
The gray wig.
There's the gray wig.
There
There she is.
there we are.
That's her.
Now, Bob plays the congressman.
Yes, I play the congressman. There we go.
And that's Donna Rosella. And then they asked me to play the cop.
Yes.
And I played Boom Boom Spumoni.
Yes. Look, she busted me. She busted me. Look at the bust. Look at that.
Yes, and
I
let
got
me tell
lost
you
in that
something.
cleavage for an hour.
Thank you. And
I've seen Twin Peaks. Look, there they are, Twin Peaks.
Thank you for the pick. We have such a blast doing that show.
Yes.
And we just did the show in my hometown of Bayside.
Yes, it was a
at
great
Bourbon
show.
Street. And you were amazing. You did
Thank you.
some of your
You
shtick.
can see a clip on my Facebook page.
Go to and tell everyone how to find what you're doing.
On Facebook, I'm Bob Greenberg Comedian. You'll see a picture of me with Jim Carrey. And then on Instagram, it's Bob Greenberg Bob Greenberg Actor Comic.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's where you can get all the information of where he's going to be performing because he has a show coming up called Larry's Late Show.
Yes, you can see. I'll post the next performance.
Yeah,
that we do.
so go to his pages.
Friend me or follow me. Follow.
Yeah, like a stalker. Go ahead. But that's your best bet. Either Facebook or Instagram, and then see where he's performing and what he's doing.
I'd like to know too.
So we have like 5 minutes left. Didn't this go fast?
Yeah,
It did. And
flew
first, I
by.
want to thank you for coming in from
Sure.
the city. Because I know it was it's a nice straight ride, but
It wasn't bad. Yeah, and I got a permanent crown today at the dentist.
Yeah,
I didn't know how I would.
dentist.
But I'm okay. I seem to be okay.
He's
Sound
good.
all right.
He's good. He's good.
I'm not
He's
blown
good.
up or anything.
So what do you have? I know you have the Larry's Late Show coming up,
Right.
but how often do you get out and actually do stand up? Like how often do you do shows as far as
Well, I am doing the show in Ellenville right on July 29th.
Right.
Horseshoe Museum.
Yeah.
lately, I mean, I don't go to the clubs. I have an act. I've done this room in Jersey called the Borscht Bell Diner or whatever, deli or whatever. I've done that a few times. I've headlined there. But I'm not, I have my act, and I get bookings. I do a lot of private shows. I do performances at the Lambs, which is at the 3 West Club, and I do a lot of shows there.
Right.
But I'm not like hanging out at the clubs. I have my 45 minutes, and I update it here and there. It's an act, and you don't. I mean, the clubs in the city.
He's hysterical. You do. You mentioned before you do Lou Costello at John Gotti's trial, which is hysterical.
I tell you, one time I played the My Way Cafe, which is in Howard Beach. This is many years ago.
Oh, that must have went over great.
Well, they told me, the booker and the venue said, you cannot mention John Gotti's name.
Okay.
So I changed the bit to Lou Costello at the Al Capone trial.
Okay,
so I work in the weekend, right? I have 2 shows.
Yeah.
At the last show, the midnight show, I got a little tired, and instead of saying Al Capone, I said John Gotti. And the place froze. The busboys pouring water, it froze. The guy who was the maitre d',
oh boy,
his name was Lucifer, and he looked at he had a voice like this, and he said, he just mentioned John's name. He said John, the whole place, and I went through the bit, and it went over fine. But then the owner put his arm around me, and all of a sudden I became like Woody Allen. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be didactic or facetious in any way. I didn't mean to mention the man's name and all. And then he put his arm around me, and he said, there's worse things a person can do.
That's
Am I right? And I said, yes,
right.
Yes, indeed. No, terribly worse things a person could do. So
and you do Jackie Gleason?
No.
Yeah. And no, it's a lot of fun to watch how you really get into character and transform yourself.
Bang, zoom. No. Yes. A mere bigger shows.
So again, he's on
Theresa.
Facebook. He's on Instagram.
You are the greatest.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Again, I appreciate you coming in and doing my show. I'd like to get the cast of Murdered by the Mob.
Am I your first Murdered by the Mob
Actually, the first one was Ralph Bracco.
Okay.
And then I had John Marola on, so actually the third. But there's so many talented people in this cast.
And they can access Murdered by the Mob online and find out.
Yeah, Murdered by the Mob.
We have a show July 7th
I
or 8th?
don't know when our next show is, but if you go to murderedbythemob.com, all the information is there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so listen, again, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And thank you everyone for watching the show. Before we leave, I'm dedicating my show tonight. I'm gonna put up a pic, that last pic, please. I'm dedicating my show tonight. Thank you so much. That is a picture of my beautiful godmother, Marie Skolza Landkop, and I. That was a few years ago. My hair was short. My godmother, Marie, passed away this past Saturday. She lived in Florida, and she had a beautiful family that loved her. And I take solace in knowing that she is with her husband and her parents. And I'm going to miss her greatly. And look at that smile. It was electric. So thank you for that pic. Dedicating the show to my beautiful godmother.
May she rest in peace.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So listen, everyone, thank you for joining me. I don't know if we're going to be back next Monday. I'm going to see if I could get a guest and if we're going to, it's a day before 4th of July. So again, Bob, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Theresa.
And thank you everyone for watching and supporting Tea Time. I appreciate it. Remember, tell everyone you love them. And maybe I'll see you next week. If not, everyone have a beautiful 4th of July. Take care. Ciao.